wonderful, straight out of the crypt, with your sinister host, Viny the Wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Friday, the 13th in October. The last one was 2017, and the next one only in 2028. The spookiest month of October and the spookiest date that you could possibly hope for. Friday the 13th. It's here, ladies and gentlemen, and I came out of the catacombs to record this special episode. I don't really have one specific topic, but I want to talk about several things that I like to enjoy in this October. One thing that if you know someone who is an artist and you follow them online, you might be familiar with is Inktober. I don't particularly subscribe entirely to the branded Inktober, but I think it's a nice tradition, the idea of making one drawing per day on the month of October that is ink-based. I've been participating in it more or less since 2017. So I think last year I did a couple of illustrations. I will be posting them on my blog this year. I did not get to post them last year, but I will be posting them this year. And it is a good exercise. Sometimes we can't make it like the entire month, because making one illustration per day completely fully. I've heard some people saying that's anxiety inducing. I disagree. I think that you should take it more lightly, especially if you have no obligation to finish. You're doing something. It's the idea of self-challenging yourself. So I've participated, I've completed a few. I've stopped before completing the 31 days a couple of times. But I think it's a good challenge if you have the time, if you're an amateur, if you are starting out, or even professionals that are quite busy doing illustration. They also participate in Inktober. So it really depends on you if you're up to it. I like the idea that because we're working with ink, I can get to do more spooky, macabre, grotesque illustrations, which is something that I quite like, which I quite enjoy. But if you're not an artist yourself, there are a couple of other things that I do that I'd like to share. And one of the things is, I don't know if I've mentioned this before in the in these transmissions in the podcast, but I'm quite fond of retro gaming. I don't follow and I don't own PC gaming or any new video games, but sometimes take the dust off of my old retro video games and I play them. And one that I quite enjoy, that I quite like, is the game Demon's Crest, which I might have mentioned it in passing in another episode, but at this point it's almost a meme, but I quite enjoy that game. There is just a handful of things that did not age well, like having passwords instead of a saving state. But overall, I absolutely adore the aesthetic on that game, the color palettes, the illustrations for background, the monsters, the creature designs. It's one of the things that truly inspires me, because I like creepy things, and as I've mentioned in the monsters of Hieronymus Bosch previous episode, I absolutely adore creepy, macabre things. So in this Friday the 13th, if you're not an artist and you're not gonna be drawing with ink, but you're a gamer, maybe check it out, Demon's Crest. I probably should make like an episode dedicated to it because I like it so much. But here, that's like tip number 2, I guess, of what to do in this special, somber, sinister holiday. Not really a holiday. We gotta go to work, but you know what I mean. But if you're not a gamer and you do not draw, how about movies? So this year I've known about the Spanish Dracula, Dracula, for a long while, but I've seen the Lugosi one, so I had not seen the Spanish. So here's the deal, if in case you don't know. Now you'll know. In 1931, they made the classic Dracula movie. Before that, we had Nosferatu, and I'm sure that there might be some movie adaptations of vampires, of Dracula, before the Bela Lugosi movie. But that one, the one that kind of we think of Dracula as having like the short black hair, sleek comb behind the head, like the classic, the one that we see like parodied the most, it actually comes from this movie, the 1931, because in the book Dracula actually have like gray hair and a gray mustache, believe it or not. So the Castlevania Dracula is actually like appearance-wise one of the most faithful, I guess, because he has the white mustache, although the Dracula in the Castlevania, he has the long flowing hair, whereas if I remember correctly in the book, Dracula had like Einstein, like disheveled white hair. So I don't think it was meant to be like as much of a charming character as we now think of. But yeah, so back to the Dracula movie from 1931. So in 1931, they've made that Dracula movie, and movies were just starting to have sound. And so what they decided to do was, because I don't think dubbing, I should have researched this a little better. I don't think that dubbing was an option back then, because they just got the same scenery, the same costumes, a couple of shots they reused, but they replaced the entire cast with actors and actresses that speak Spanish, and they remake the entire movie with a Spanish-speaking cast. Now, I have not seen the original Dracula in English in a while, so I probably should watch both like together to see what's similar, what's different. But if you've seen the original Dracula and you're quite used to it, maybe check it out, the Spanish one, because it's quite nice actually. I've heard that some people prefer the Spanish version. I think it was quite enjoyable, seeing the acting and how maybe just the fact that it's Latin, how it changes ever so slightly the performance versus the English one. Again, I should have made a proper comparison by watching the two movies, but then again, I don't want to like make a full review because then I'll probably be spoiling the movie for you. So this is more like a movie recommendation if you'd like. And back to inking. I am making preparations to introduce more video content on my YouTube page and maybe make some tutorials, stuff like that. I don't know if you guys would be interested. I hope so. And make something similar to what I'm doing in the podcast. So I am working behind my desk. I am working hard, although I've sometimes I may be a little bit irregular uploading stuff, but I am at it, and I hope you are at it as well. I hope this sinister Friday the 13th actually revitalize you with a lot of strength like it does to me with the rain and the clouds and the night and everything, because that is my jam. And if you're listening to this and if you're like me, it might be your jam as well. So get out your drawing materials, your inking materials, and I know that Inktober also includes digital stuff, and I think that digital stuff is amazing, but try to do some inking with actual, for real, black, darker than coffee ink. Could be a brush pen, it could be a Sharpie, or even a ballpoint pen. Like, just try to do some drawing on paper. I keep telling you, you guys and girls, do try to make something on paper, because it increases you. The fact that you don't have Ctrl-Z to use as a crutch and keep trying stuff over, being perfectionist, but actually just keeping you in that cycle. Do try to make something that is permanent, so you can train and cultivate your style. That would be my recommendation. But I would love to hear your recommendations. Like, what do you guys and gals do? If there is a way to comment, if it is on YouTube, I know you can comment. And I know it kind of sounded like a shameless, comment on my video type of thing, but I genuinely am looking forward for interesting recommendations of stuff that I might not know about, because I'm always looking for new interesting stuff, and sometimes search engines and algorithms, they don't really work as good as they should. So don't be afraid to tell me, because I'd be interested in checking it out and doing it myself if it is spooky. See you guys next time.